Yo, what is up, all you stone cold superfly illmatic fish keeper funkadelics? You watch Aquafunk Aquatics with me, Aquafunk, and today I'm going to be talking about green water and how to 100% guarantee get rid of it for free, not spending out a dime, not no money whatsoever, using the blackout method. But before I do, please, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit the thumbs up. Costs nothing to you, but it's absolutely priceless to my channel. And leave a comment if you've ever done the blackout method. I'm also going to do a little bit of a rant afterwards, so stick around for that. I'm not really a rant type of guy, but this is something that's been on my mind. This is something that has got me to make this video, and something that I feel it plagues pet stores, mom and pop pet stores. It's a big issue. But let me get into this whole green water thing. Let me start by telling you a story. I went to a local pet store, and as a fish tuber, a experienced fish keeper, I had a bad habit of listening on conversations that people are having with the associates. Maybe some of you guys know what I'm talking about. Comments below. But in this one particular instance, I went to a local pet store. I'm not going to say who, and I overheard. It was an elderly couple. They brought in a water sample, and they said they had cloudy water, and the associate, who was obviously annoyed at the fact that he had to deal with this, tested their water and said everything is great, until the lady asked about the one little vial that was very red, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's your nitrate. It's kind of high." But a second ago you said it was great. So like I said, rant. Anyway, you know what? That's what rant. I found myself getting annoyed, and I kind of walked around hoping that I would get them on the side, but they never did. So I went to the parking lot to my car, and I walked slowly to my car hoping that I would catch them on the way out, which I did. And I walked up to them. "Excuse me, I can't help but overheard that you was going through some issues. If you don't mind, can I give it a shot?" And I said, what seems to be the problem? They told me they had cloudy water. Their nitrate was high. I said, how long have you had it set up? They said 8 months. And I said, so your ammonia is 0, your nitrite is 0, but your nitrate is high. And I thought to myself, hold up, cloudy white or cloudy green? There it was. That was the question that the associate failed to ask. It was cloudy green. Okay. Well, let me ask you a couple more questions. Is your light on all the time? No, it's not. How much do you feed? That's where the gentleman was like, oh, that he fills up the top. He sprinkles it until it covers up the top. I said, okay, that's way too much. By the way, I did ask them what type of fish they had. They had an assortment of community, tropical, the gouramis and some tetras and stuff like that. It was a 55, by the way. And that's important, and I'm gonna tell you why in a second. And I said, okay, so you don't have any live plants, I assume, right? It was like, no, it's all fake plants. I said, okay, this is what's going on. Next question I asked, I'm sorry, was where was the tank according to the windows in the house? They said, well, it's on a wall away from the windows. I said, okay. And I said, well, is it directly in front of windows? She says, well, the whole house is surrounded by windows. They don't even turn their lights on until nighttime because so much sunlight gets into the room. It must have been a nice house. I said, okay, so here's your problem. You're getting too much light and you're feeding way too much. All that food is turning into, food for algae. They was like, there's no algae. We have a suckerfish. I was like, yeah, I understand you have a suckerfish, but if it's the water, you have algae cells in your water. Algae ain't nothing but a plant. Well, they have plant cells, algae cells, that grow in the water, not necessarily on the side of things, because you can have algae in your water and not have it on the actual decor or rocks or anything like that. It's just cells that have exploded because they have an abundance of nitrate, which is what plants eat, in their system. And this is important because the blackout method works 100%. But what you have to do is stop the behavior that's causing it. So while I may be able to show you how to get rid of it, you have to take the proper steps so that it doesn't continue. Okay. Now this associate went ahead and sold them product, and I told them this product is not going to solve the problem. It's a band-aid. Your tank will probably get clear for like a day or two, but then it's going to continue because you continue to do the things that caused it to begin with. I said, first of all, is there any, no, I said they were elderly and it was a 55, so moving it was going to be an issue. And I said, listen, the first chance you get, if you can move that to a house where it doesn't get no sunlight, further away the better. The light is only there for your benefit more than anything else, especially if you don't have live plants. Stop feeding so much. I asked how often do you water change. She does a partial water change every 3 weeks. I said you need to go ahead and do 25 to 1/3% water change every week. Okay, let's get into the blackout method. But I hope you understand. The algae in the water was caused by their tendency to not do as many water changes as they should and overfeeding. I did a video on feeding. Really, the fish only need a little bit of food. Now, there's a whole bunch of different methods on how to feed fish, and there's a whole bunch of right ways, a whole bunch of wrong ways. I personally feel, if you have a community tank like that, once a day, a small amount, whatever they can eat in the first 30 seconds, especially flakes, because flakes have a tendency to go all over the place and get in the rocks and everything. So, as long as their bellies are not concaved inward, you're feeding them enough. They could actually go a day, every other day if you want. So the blackout method, very simple. All you have to do. Okay, now whether you do a water change before, it is what it is. You can do a water change, 25% water change if you want, not necessary. But what you do is you turn off the light. Okay, you get a bed sheet, a thick bed sheet, or something where light cannot pass through. Okay, I've heard of people using garbage bags. But what happens is the condensation gets up on the garbage bags, start dripping down the side of it. So you may not want to use garbage bags. Get a heavy bed sheet, one like a comforter type bed sheet, so that the light doesn't get through. Or if it's in a room where you can turn off the light for 3 days, do that. Do not feed these fish. Now what happens is you're cutting off the light and you're cutting off the food, and the algae cells will quickly die off. Now if it doesn't take, maybe it takes 4 days. Different scenario. If after 3 days, leave your filter on, leave your aeration on, leave your heater on, leave all that alone. It's as simple as just cutting off their light source and their food source, and those algae cells will die off. All right, so as I was editing and proof watching my video, I realized I forgot to say one thing. After the blackout period is over, you're gonna have abundance of dead algae cells. You may not be able to see them, but they're there. As those cells rot away, they can cause ammonia spikes. So after the period of blackout, whether it's 3 days or 4 days, what have you, is over with, you want to go ahead and do a 25 to 1/3% water change to get that out of the water. But all right, back to the show. Okay, 100% guarantee. Now, like I said, you might have to do another day or two. Don't worry about your fish and the eating. They can go fine with a week without eating. It's not a big deal, trust me. Guaranteed will kill the algae. All right, you're cutting off their light source, cutting off their food source. As far as algae being stuck on the side of the tank, whole other issue. We're just talking about green cloudy water. Now, let's get into this rant. And I'm not a big ranter, you know what I mean? But this has been on my mind since this happened. Here's the deal. Listen, mom and pop pet stores, okay? One just closed down for this very reason, in my opinion. You ever heard this phrase, fish snob? Mom and pop pet stores have a tendency of having fish snobs working there. What it is just someone who knows a lot about fish and is very opinionated, and they feel it's either their way or no. Either way, they have an attitude about them, especially in some cases where maybe it's someone in their 40s. And I'm not saying everybody who works at a mom and pop pet store is this way. I'm just making an observation. I've worked at mom and pop pet stores. I've seen it for myself. Sometimes you're not happy with where you're at, okay, but you're working at a pet store. Customers come in and they expect your professional opinion. If you're not happy with your life working at that pet store, don't work there, okay? That gentleman who did not ask questions, who did not actually, how could you tell the customer their water is good but their nitrate is high? That's just laziness. You was obviously annoyed that you had to deal with a problem that you felt was beneath you. Don't work there, okay? Okay, the customers are not always right, but they want to get it right, and they come to you for that. So if you're not happy where you are in life at that pet store, don't work there. Go somewhere else where your crappy attitude will be rewarded, where people will appreciate your crappy attitude. Because these people, the number one reason, in my opinion, why people give up is because they just feel defeated. And that's what they come to the mom and pop pet store. So that's what they come to my channel for. That's what they come to a lot of YouTube channels for. they just feel like they just can't. So if that's you, find what it is that made you passionate about the hobby, and remember that these people are where you was at when you first started, when you needed help. All right, that's it for me. Blackout method, 100% guarantee works. You don't have to buy nothing. Don't buy nothing. In fact, I never suggest buying anything for cloudy water, issues with your water, because most issues with your water is something you have done or failed to do. And it's as simple as changing up your habit. All right, don't overfeed. Really, the light really only needs to be 4 to 6 hours on 4 to 6 hours. It's more for your benefit than anything else. This is if you don't have live plants. Now, if you have live plants, you're probably already light conscious anyway. But if you're just starting out in the hobby and you're running into that issue, blackout method, guaranteed work. All you have to do is stop the behavior that caused it. And it's real simple. Cut your light off. Don't feed too much. So, hope that helped. Thank you very much for your time. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your fish.